Hey guys. Um, so for those of you who used to watch my videos, hi. For those of you who have never seen me before, also, hi y'all. My name's Chelsea. I used to be a YouTuber back in the day when I got here in South Korea in 2012. I have since been pretty solidly retired for a number of years now, but I wanted to make this video because I think it's important, because I have seen some pretty oddly sensationalized takes about what's happening in Seoul right now or in South Korea right now with the coronavirus. And I wanted to do a little story time to tell you guys what my personal experience has been. This is not going to be for clicks. I really don't care. And after this is over, I probably will go right back into my retirement, happy as can be. But I wanted to try and explain what's going on without any fluff or clickbait or whatever else people seem to be really interested in spreading. So I made a little list of things I want to say. If you guys see me looking off to the corner, that is why. It's just to keep my brain kind of in the right direction for how I want this video to go. And I'm sorry if I ramble a bit. Usually I would edit these, but since I'm kind of retired, I got rid of all my video editing equipment a long time ago, and I don't really want to re-download it, so sorry for that, y'all. I do love to talk, if you hadn't noticed from all my other previous videos, so please just bear with me. Okay, so first I just want to explain the timeline. In the beginning of all of this, we heard that things were going down in China, and yes, being in South Korea, it does put us fairly close to a hot zone, I guess you would say. So we did kind of know about it. My school would talk about it. My friends and I would kind of vaguely mention it in conversations, but it wasn't really on our radar going into 2020. Somewhere around beginning to mid-February, a lot of my students started coming in with masks, and our morning meetings at work would be discussing whether or not we need to wear masks, just reminding people to wash their hands and how to do it properly, to make sure that the kids know how to do everything hygienic, so washing their hands and everything. But it wasn't really a concern for us still. We just were keeping an eye on it. And so that means by the end of February, the last week of February, on a weekend, right before the last week, our school messaged all the teachers at the school, and they said, hey, by the way, things have gotten bad enough with the virus that we're actually going to close down for a week. And that hit a lot of us as pretty shocking, to be honest. And it was also pretty disappointing because that was our last week with our current class of students before the school semester changed. So a lot of us were actually really disappointed that we wouldn't get to spend that last week with like our beloved class that we had nurtured and taught for a year. But we understood the necessity of it, especially since things were getting pretty hectic in Daegu, we heard. Seoul we were doing great as far as the virus was concerned, and then we had a super spreader who was living in Daegu, and she went to her church to do worship, and I think she went like a few times and spread it to a lot of people in her church, and then it kind of just went off like a wildfire in Daegu. So we started getting concerned. We were getting other cases in Seoul as well, and the school decided that it was the most responsible thing to shut down, to not spread it any further. And I think that was actually a very wise choice. That was what, 3 weeks ago? Going on 4 weeks. So it's been a while, and it seems like at first we were excited to not have to work, even though we were like disappointed to not see our students for that last week. But obviously, like a impromptu vacation is nice, but in reality, there's nothing about it that's a vacation. Like everybody's told not to panic. We haven't had the same problems with toilet paper and like miscellaneous household items disappearing from the shelves. Koreans have been really good about not panicking and handling this in a very like methodical way. The only thing that we've had any shortages of so far have been masks. So now that we're kind of still in the middle of it, hopefully on the downturn, the only thing that we're still having problems with is masks. So what Korea has decided to do is, based on your birth year, you can go to the pharmacy and get 2 masks per week. And like if your birth year ends in a 5, then you would go on this day. If your birth year ends in a 0, you would go on like a different day, just to make sure that like the lines are not so intense. But I will say this, every morning at the pharmacy near my house, there's a line that forms in the beginning, like every morning when they open up, for people to get their masks. So it is still like a subject of contention. People are, you know, you want to be careful. And I think that's one of the things that's nice about South Korea, is that everybody is taking this very, very seriously. And everyone is trying to avoid each other. So like on the streets when you're walking now, in the past, I've complained, I think, on this channel about not having as much personal space, but that is not the case anymore, because the thing about Korea is you ask them to do something, and collectively, if it's for the greater good, they will do it, because they know how important it is as a society that we all, you know, help each other. And so now, like, everybody gives each other personal space. When you eat out or something like that, you try and stay away from other people. We haven't really been hanging out, like my friends and I try not to hang out that much in one space, because you don't want to accidentally infect all of your friends. All the social clubs that I was in, like I was doing a play, we were practicing every weekend. That play has been postponed because we don't want to get together. The choir that I'm in also is not meeting right now, because we don't want to be all in one space at the same time. It's just not a great idea. So it's pretty boring, to be honest. It's pretty boring, but that being said, like, what are you gonna do? This is not playtime. Like, this is serious. And if we don't protect each other, especially the vulnerable people in society, the older people, people with respiratory issues, like myself, I have had asthma in the past. So like, for people like us and people who are going through cancer treatments, whatever, the vulnerable, we all have to be responsible and step up. And so that's what's happening over here. I have also seen, we're all really happy that like the cases are starting to go down a little bit. And South Korea also has had an extremely low death rate compared to some of the other countries that we've seen. And I think that is because there has been such a huge effort towards isolation if you feel sick, and towards testing. South Korea has been so amazing about getting people tested. It doesn't cost you anything. If you go to certain centers, if you call the hotline, they will tell you, like, you talk to a doctor, you tell them what symptoms you have, and then they will tell you whether or not you need to go to see a doctor. And if they do feel like, based on your symptoms, you might have the coronavirus, then they will send you to very specific testing centers who can get it done for you. And if you do have it, then you will go into quarantine, you will be isolated from anybody else, and it will all be covered under the national health insurance. Like, that's something that my friends and family back home were very concerned about when they heard that it was starting to get bad over here. They were like, oh my God, like, our loved one is in a vulnerable situation. And honestly, I don't feel that way. Because South Korea has been so proactive about shutting down the schools. People are working from home now more than anything else. The public transit has hand sanitizer and masks, free masks for you to take when you ride the bus or when you get on the subway. Everybody is wearing a mask now, if they can get their hands on one. Everybody is being really responsive and proactive to try and take care of this. And so I don't really feel super at risk. And I know that if I do feel sick, I can immediately call the hotline. They will get me tested if they feel like I need it. And then all of my care will be covered. And that's not something that can be said about the United States. I don't feel like they're taking it as seriously as they should. And so now I'm actually more worried about my family and friends in the US than I am about myself here, even though we have a lot more cases. I just feel like I'm a lot safer here than I would be if I was back in the USA right now. Let me see if there's anything I've missed. Hold on a second. Oh, another thing that's really nice is we are getting daily alerts about the cases the new cases of the coronavirus that have popped up. We are getting alerts on where known cases have been, and very specifically where they have been, including times. So we actually had a case where I live pop up yesterday, and they literally sent us an itemized list of exactly where this person had been in our community, in the nearby community, and the times and like the names of the restaurants or banks or whatever he did. They let us know exactly where this person was so that all of us can avoid those areas. And they also sent decontaminating teams to those places and made sure that the entire restaurant, business, bank, whatever building is very clean and swept for the virus so that other people can go and not be scared of those places. I think those places will be closed for 1 to 2 days. And then once the government clears them, they can actually open back up again because we know that they're safe now. Probably more clean and safe than they were before, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, I know. See, that's the thing about South Korea is like the numbers seem really scary that we have so many cases, but I'll say two things. The first thing is a lot of those are in Daegu because we had problems with the super spreader and her church. I don't want to say too much because it's not really, I can't say that I'm as informed as maybe an actual South Korean person might be. And but I do know that we have a lot of cases in Daegu right now, so that actually is most of the concern. It's not actually in Seoul where I'm at, although Seoul does have a lot of cases as well. It's not anywhere near as many as down south. But in the United States, I kind of wonder because I've been seeing a lot of articles and talking to friends, and they all say that they're not getting tested even when they're asking for a test. And teachers are saying that kids are coming in and they are showing symptoms that might be the coronavirus that is extremely, extremely infectious. And no one's getting tested. So I do feel like Korea's numbers could be scary or intimidating if you see them just point blank. But that being said, when you look at the recovery rates, when you look at the very low death rates, considering how many people have actually gotten it, and then when you think about the fact that Koreans have been so good about getting people tested and trying to be responsible and stopping the spread dead in its tracks, I feel like it's actually not as scary as what could possibly be happening in the United States right now, where you have people walking around who are highly, highly infectious. And they are going to schools and they are going to public places, hospitals, places where people could be vulnerable. I think that that's really much more concerning than what's happening actually in South Korea. Because at least in South Korea, if somebody's sick, there's no stigma. Like, you can get tested and then people will know where they went and we can avoid those places to stop it. Everybody's working together on this to keep everyone safe. It's not so much individualized as the States kind of can be sometimes. I think sometimes it's a good thing, but in this case, probably not. It's not really a case of herd immunity, but I would say that in this case, it's definitely very important for everyone to work together in this case. And luckily for any of the expatriates in South Korea right now, Korea's really good at working together on things, An event, not a person. Okay. So we had a super spreader event. Does that make you feel better? It's the same thing, though. I think it's just, it's a concerning thing that happened in Daegu. But that being said, we've only had the one event, and ever since then, the government has been like on top of it, and also like the people in Daegu I knew are working really hard trying to stay safe and stay indoors so that they don't catch it and spread it. So that's really cool of them. Let me see if there's anything else I really want to say. No, I think I've kind of covered everything. I do want to say one more thing though before I kind of sign off. And that is like, for anybody that's concerned about South Korea or what might be coming for you in your country, I do think that every nation is different. So I can't really speak for what's going to happen in Europe or the United States. I can only say that my thoughts are with you and that I really, really hope that everyone can work together on this and take care of each other, especially in the United States where I personally have loved ones that I'm worried about. But as far as what's going on in South Korea, like, no, I am not wiping down every single thing that I buy from the convenience store with Lysol wipes before I use it. No, I am not staying indoors 24/7 for 3 weeks straight. Like, I do go out every once in a while, probably like once a day, to grab what I need. And I do wear a mask because I think it's important for everyone in case, God forbid, I have it or I come in contact with somebody who has it. We're all just trying to be responsible adults here, and I think that's really important. No, it is not the apocalypse. No, it is not the plague. There are not people dying in the streets, and if you go to like a restaurant or something, like, people are still, going out and eating out and things like that. It's just any of the very big, highly social events have been canceled or postponed, and I think it's obviously really bumming. As a social person myself, I'm not enjoying this. It's very isolating. Luckily, I have a roommate, so I'm not completely alone all the time, but honestly, this is not playtime. It's not fun. It's not a vacation. Please, like, I have heard stories of some people going on vacation, and when the virus first came out, we would get jokes, like, we would kind of joke around because we weren't taking it seriously. We were saying like, oh yeah, like, we should go to Everland because, like, there's nobody there right now, right? But seriously, don't go to theme parks or anything like that. Like, none of us actually went. It was a joke because sometimes humor is the only way to get through tough times like this. But none of us ever actually went to those places. And even now, like, when I do leave the house, I try to do things that are very solo based. So like hiking, solo hiking, or going for like a walk, maybe to like the nearby museum or something, but staying away from people. When you see someone on the street, if you're here and the other person is here, like, normally you would pass like this. Right now we're passing like this, like, not even remotely close to each other. And that's just kind of part of our daily life now. When you go outside, almost everyone is wearing a mask, especially in my area now that we had a case like pop by in our area. Everybody is wearing masks right now, just to, try and do our little bit of extra. I will say another thing though, actually, about the masks. The masks are only helpful really for two reasons, I'll say. The first one is they're actually a very good reminder to not touch your face. So I guess I never realized how much I actually do touch my face, but you really do touch your face a lot. It's like the minute somebody says, hey, stop touching your face, like, you feel like you have an itch right on your nose. It's one of those things when they say don't think about white polar bears, suddenly all you can think about is white polar bears. It's the exact same case. So the masks help you not touch your face unless, and I have seen a lot of this, unless you're constantly putting it on and taking it off. So if you're wearing a mask and you put it on and then you take it off and then you put it on again and you take it off, what are you doing? You're touching your face. In fact, you're touching your face probably more than you would normally touch your face. So if you're not going to wear the mask properly, I actually would suggest just flat out not wearing one. Because if you're going to be putting it on and taking it off, or like wearing it on your chin or something like that, you're actually exposing yourself more because you keep touching your face, as opposed to if you just didn't wear a mask and never touched your face. I think that would actually be more responsible, but I'm not a doctor. So you can completely ignore me and I will not feel insulted at all. That being said, if you have even the tiniest little wee bit of a cough, for the love of everything, please wear a mask. Because the thing about the masks is they do help you if you are sick and you have that dry cough or fever or whatever. One, just flat out don't go outside, get yourself tested, call the hotline and get yourself tested. But if you do have a cough or something, wear a mask, because the mask actually will contain your cough and your germs and keep you from spreading it to other people. Because it's not, at this point, it's not even about protecting yourself. It's also about protecting everyone else. And that means being responsible and wearing a mask if you feel even the tiniest bit under the weather, if you will. Okay. Oh, and of course, the other thing, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. We're all washing our hands with soap. We've also found like there's a lot of hand sanitizer now being sold at convenience stores and places like that, which I think is really good. But hand sanitizer is not as effective as good old-fashioned soap and water. And it's not even just putting your hands under cold water for 2 seconds, you know, flicking the water off and walking out. That is not going to do it. So I know I've seen a lot of memes online about like how hi guys. I just de-aged 10 years. I know it's about like washing your hands for like a period of time. So my personal favorite is I'll sing Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. Is it Queen? Freddie Mercury, David Bowie? I'll sing the chorus while I wash my hands because it's like one of my favorite songs. But that's all you have to do really, is like you just pick the chorus of like one of your favorite songs and just wash your hands with soap, doing it properly between the fingers, try and get under the nails, all that stuff, so that you are thorough enough to protect yourself and to protect other people. It's just about being a responsible citizen, you know what I mean, in a time like this. So I think that's kind of it, guys. I was trying to shut down certain areas, yeah. My school said that they're going to try and open before April. And I know a lot of the teachers around me at my school would love for that to be the case. If we do go back, I think a lot of us are still going to be wearing masks just to be sure. The thing about schools is that children will be children, and you can't expect kids to be as thorough as adults. And, you know, I tell my students to wash their hands thoroughly. Like, we'll sing a song together while we do it. But that being said, like, I don't think they fully understand the severity of the situation. So I'm not surprised that schools are delaying. I think it's a very responsible thing for the adults in these situations to be protecting the kids at all costs. It's literally our jobs. And if that means that the kids can't go in and hang out with each other, as heartbreaking as that is, we can't risk it until things get a little bit safer for all of us. And I especially worry about the kids, not because children have been hit very particularly hard by this virus. In fact, I've seen some articles saying that it's similar to chickenpox for kids, where they're actually getting very mild symptoms. But the problem is not so much like the kids getting sick. My concern would be the kids getting sick and then going to hang out with their grandparents or something like that, and then one of the elderly, you know, populations getting hit by that. So I think, once again, it's all about us all protecting each other. The kids are protecting their grandparents, the parents are protecting the kids, everybody working together so that nobody gets sick. I think that's what that's about, you know. Probably, what does that mean? I could hook? I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm just old. Guys, I'm 30 now. I'm like ancient. Where you been? I'm still here. I'm still in South Korea. I'm not doing anything special. I felt like it was time for me to step back a little bit and let the the younger vloggers who had much more of a passion for sharing their life stories do their thing. You know, I felt like I had done my part as like second generation YouTuber. Maybe I'm third generation. I don't know what would y'all qualify me as. I think I'm maybe second or third generation YouTuber. But I felt like it was, you know, it was time for me to pass the torch and let the next batch of YouTubers come out and share their amazing stories about this really wonderful country, honestly. I'm not back that guys. Don't get excited. I only wanted to make this video because I feel like it's important for us to tell our real life stories of like what's actually happening here so that people are not so concerned about us. Thanks. Yeah, so I just wanted to tell my personal story because I think it's important for all of us to know what's going on and not be too caught up in the sensationalized aspect of it. It is something to be serious. Like in the beginning, I also thought that this was basically the flu. I was like, why is everybody freaking out? This is ridiculous. Like, should we really be closing the schools and things like that? But seeing how quickly that it spreads and seeing the fatality rate worldwide, not so much in Korea, but worldwide, now I kind of see the severity and I understand more why South Korea decided to be so active when it did. I think so far the government has been doing really well in trying to contain all of this, and I'm really really pleased with how everybody's working together. Okay. Oh, actually, yeah, my school is still paying us. I am, but as far as we know, everything's still kind of up in the air until things settle down, and I think we all kind of have to understand that. But we are still getting paid at the moment, and right now we're in talks about doing makeup days, perhaps on Saturday, perhaps during regular vacation days. It's really not solidified yet, and I don't think it's fair to even ask them too much about it until like things settle down and we can start to pick up our routine again. Chelsea's 21 years old. Oh, honey, no. No, I am not. And I don't want to be anymore either. I'm enjoying being 30. Aw, you think I'm like 40? Thanks. This is a good 40, okay? Just saying that. I actually like to tell my students that I'm actually 140. Actually, well, it changes, like 140, 312, things like that, you know, just to mess with them, because they don't need to know how old I am. How good is your Korean? It's all right. It's all right. I can definitely get by and have little conversations and things like that, but it's not fluent, unfortunately. Why don't you miss being 20? Honestly, being 30 rocks. I mean, I'm so much more confident now. I don't really need the approval of others as much as I did when I was younger. I'm much better at standing in my truth. And I've also like found old hobbies and things like that that I had thought that I had outgrown, when in reality I just was pretending to be a grown-up and pretending like I didn't still love doing these things, mostly like theater, musical theater, and like plays and things like that. And now that I'm older, I can actually like be honest with myself and say like, I miss the heck out of those hobbies, and so I've been doing them again in Seoul for the past 3 years now, and I have never been happier. I'm so glad that I let go of that silly mentality that I had to grow up and let go of my like beloved high school hobbies because I was, you know, being a serious adult and all that stuff. Like, man, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, now that I'm 30, I realize that my friends are some of the most important people to me, like who my actual friends are, and hold those people very close and dear to your heart. And yeah, I think now I am closer and more comfortable with who I am, and I would not change that for the world. Am I still single? No, I am not. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not married though, but I'm also not single anymore either. So, is that it, guys? I think I'm done. I'm not even talking about coronavirus anymore. I know you guys have missed me. I know I haven't really been making videos, and I don't honestly plan on making them again. I'm sorry. I know some of you guys really enjoyed the old ones, but I'm kind of doing my own thing and living a much more private life these days. I just wanted to come out and say, like, I did miss you guys. I do sometimes miss sharing my life experiences with y'all. But I just wanted to be honest and tell you what was going on over here. In my own personal experience, I'm sure that in other areas it could be a little bit different as well. I live in Japan. Yeah. All right, so I guess that's it, guys. I will see y'all when I see y'all, I guess, which is probably not going to be soon. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's what being 30 means. Like, you don't owe anybody anything. But that being said, like, you do also, you should want to help and protect people, especially the people you love, but even the people you don't know. And that's also part of growing up and maturing and being 30. All right. Bye, y'all. I will see you when I see you. And if you have any other questions, you can just put them, I don't know if this is a thing, but put them below in the live video, and I will try and go through the comments and answer them if you have any more questions. Bye.